Welcome back, traders. Again, we're going to be looking at the cryptocurrency, just tying the year off. I find a lot of the regular currencies are starting to get a little bit quiet. Not always, but this is a very good time to be looking at the cryptos. So again, we're going to be going through my three favorites. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and LiteCoin. Now, we spoke about the Bitcoin news yesterday and how things are going, and we kind of highlighted that we have this point of resistance up top here. But let's have a little bit more in-depth look here, because let's say you're looking for an entry point on the Bitcoin. We do feel very strongly that it's going to be going up, but as always, you want some kind of confirmation just to increase your chance of things doing well. All right, we've seen a couple things. If we're looking at the 4-hour chart, what I'm going to do is get rid of that and that. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go for a totally blank chart. Now, we've seen a pretty large movement from this point to here, right? We have a low and then we have a high. And the market has been sitting in between here. Now, we are still expecting it to go up, but let's find where we could find a good point here. What I've noticed is if we take the fib, and we draw it up to the top there. Remember, that's the same level where I was saying that we should hit some resistance. We now have some fib lines to work off. Now, it looks a lot like it has already come off the 50 with this long pin bar. And because the market has not broken below the pin bar, it is still in place. This could still very much happen. So an entry, if you didn't enter off this pin bar here, we could look for it to break this 23.6, because remember, this could be a likely point of resistance as well. Or you could wait for it to break the 0.0, but then you get to miss out on all of this profit. So what I'm doing, well, I'm already in this trade and I'm in enough profit that we have a bit of room. But what I'm doing on my live account is I'm watching what's happening with this coming off the various Fibonacci lines. I do believe that this pin bar is fairly decent, but I don't really like the 50 line too much. I personally trade more off the 38.2 and the 61.8. I find that those are the two strongest fib lines. So either I want to see something break through this resistance and keep moving, or for this to come down a bit further, hit the 61.8 and then give us a signal to be trading up again. But the news is looking good for the Bitcoin. You know, we've smashed that 17,500, we're at about 17,700, and it does still look like we're on track for 20,000. So we're just looking for the right entry to be able to trade it up. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Also on the 4-hour charts over here, we've had a rising trend line. Now, it's quite difficult to spot because, you know, this moves very differently to how most of the markets move. We don't have that beautiful up and down and easy places to find lows. So what we've done is we kind of look at where it started becoming steep, and then we start putting lines up like that. Let me go ahead and load the blank template first. Here we go. This may make it seem a little bit clearer. And because we've had all this movement happening in such a short period of time, let's have a look at the 1 hour. And things start getting even clearer. We can see that we've had this sort of trend line moving up here. We can almost line it up just visually, but let's do it properly, shall we? So we go ahead and we take our line and we start trying to figure out where would this fit. We can see that it should fit, but now we need to know where exactly. I find that if I start at this point here, at the beginning of the big movements, now we go and we see, well, how has it been fitting? And then we find this point over here. Now, yes, the market has broken through here, but we could still see a bit of resistance there. We chose that point, so of course it's going to line up very well. And again, inside this range across here, we saw resistance, we saw it here, and this lined up really perfectly. So this is a very important line to watch. Keep in mind the volatility of these cryptocurrencies means that it's very rare for us to get like a dead hit, because when things start approaching a level, there's very often so much momentum that it just sort of throws it past quite a bit before we see any reversal. So it is tricky to find these lines. It's not unheard of to have these kind of breakthroughs and still be trading off vertical lines. Now we've had, when we look at the 1 hour, we do start having that classic where we have ups and a smaller down, bigger up, smaller down, giving us all these higher lows as well as higher highs. So even the traditional way of analyzing the Forex market is confirming with us that it should still be going up. In fact, it's only at the point where this price level here is broken that we would say it looks like Ethereum is going to be reversing. So now we're looking for an entry point. We're trying to find the point where can we actually enter a bullish trade. Well, what we can do is we see that we have a high and we have a low. So let's go ahead and put in the Fibonacci from this high to that low and see what these lines are showing us. There we go. So I've got from this high to that low, and we can see here that the 61.8 has been tested. And this is one of the stronger lines to look at. Remember, Fibonacci only really works because so many other traders use it. There is no real reason why Fibonacci should work, except for the fact that there's, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 traders sitting there collectively with several $100 million worth of money being traded, and they're waiting for the same thing. So very often we do see that it does actually work, and I find that the 61.8 and the 38.2 are the two most reliable lines to work off. So we see that we've had this resistance coming, but the market has still leveled out. So there hasn't been any amazing movement yet, but we are only on a 1 hour, so this is not a huge amount of time. So we're going to sit and wait and see what happens here. I suspect it will come down and test the 61.8 again, and then we should see a nice movement. But either way, I'm going to wait for the 100 line to crack unless I get absolutely perfect information coming off the 61.8 line. And the good old little LiteCoin. The LiteCoin as well, we are looking at the 1 hour. I'm going to go ahead and remove these lines. There we go. In fact, I'll go to the blank worksheet. Now, with the LiteCoin, we had this massive bullish movement coming up, but now it looks like it's petering out, but it is sort of getting squeezed. Here, I'll show you what I mean. We can fit in a horizontal line here, and we can see that the market has been reversing off this line a lot. We've had several dead hits across the spectrum here. Even before where it broke through, we never really had the body crossing over, so it just temporarily went below and then got pushed back up. So something is happening at this price level here. But we've also seen a decline over the last few hours. If we take the high point from here and we have a look at this, we can see we have a triangle forming and the market is getting squeezed. Now this can give us a few interesting things happening here. It's very rare to see the market actually squeezing this much. Usually it would have broken out by now. But we can see that it looks like we should be having a breakout reasonably soon. If you were to draw in your simple moving averages, you'll probably still see that they are in a bullish movement despite the fact that it's gone sideways. But because we had such a huge bullish movement here, I don't believe the bigger moving averages would really be that reliable, because this is phenomenal. I mean, this really sticks out of the usual trading. So LiteCoin, I'm feeling quite hesitant about. I personally have a small trade on LiteCoin, but luckily I entered lower down. So I still have a lot of breathing room before I start hitting break even, let alone profit. If I were to look at entering a trade now, I would most likely sit and wait this out. I need to see some kind of movement happening in LiteCoin. I suspect it will be bullish, but with the descending highs and the lows kind of leveling out and the fact that we're in this triangle, this one is making me feel quite nervous. So at the end of the day, I'm still looking for bulls on BitCoin. I'm looking for bulls on Ethereum, and LiteCoin, I'm kind of taking a backseat on this one.